Everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and its recent price action move to uh, essentially cut past $17,000. We're currently sitting at 17,152. This is almost kind of like not surprising considering the recent bullish action of Bitcoin. And if I flip it to the weekly chart here, you can essentially see how close we are from the prior all-time high. This is really exciting stuff. These are one of the reasons why we invest in this digital asset from the wick, which is very generous, um, to where we are. It's currently at 300 and almost 50% move. And this is coming to our eighth weekly candle of bullish price action. Again, few things to consider. This can very possibly continue as it already has been for the beginning of the week. Um, some things to consider, however. We are getting pretty testy on the RSI because of the short-term move action. We're at an 81.9 on the RSI. The 2019 bull run RSI peak was at around 79.31. Yeah, 79.29. And in the previous bull run, every like kind of mini peak that we had before we retraced to the uh, 20 weekly moving average came to about around an 85, 87, 77, sorry, 80.22, 89. This one right here was pretty massive. But considering the smaller ones, we are getting close, and those are the few things to kind of anticipate when looking at this here, because we are getting pretty high. It gets more and more risky the higher up we go in a short amount of time. It's not how high we went; it's in the span of time. It took 8 weeks. Remember, 8 weeks. If I told you in 8 weeks ago that we'd be up 60% against Bitcoin, like a $6,000 gain, it's really, for me at least, it's really hard to believe. And these kinds of price moves are just insane. If I move it to the monthly chart, the previous video I talked about like the certain pattern we see with the RSI. And I'll be flipping from the Bitstamp chart to the BLX because I don't get the full like price history of Bitcoin on Bitstamp. But essentially what we want to look at here, and then in the BLX, it's somewhere back here. But keep this in mind. This peak here was about 65.89. Currently it's at 71.13, but the week isn't, the closing, the month isn't over yet. Let's flip it back to the BLX and we'll see that we are currently at 70.50. This mini peak here in 2019 was a 65.87. But importantly, we're looking at here and here because I talked about how it looks like these mini peaks were the precursor to the major retracement. Um, and you can, when you flip it to the weekly, it's simply corresponding to that mini peak, one of the mini peaks that we had, that goes back to the 20 weekly moving average, and then it goes exponentially up, as you can see here and essentially here as well. But when we look at those peaks and their measurement on the RSI, we're looking at a 67.30 and we're looking at a 71.33. Okay, we are currently at 70.50. Yes, we're over this one, but take into account that Bitcoin has been through multiple cycles. We have essentially more bull runs to compare it to on how it might look. This bull run it could be, and most probably will be, different looking, but there are, I believe, certain markers that are unique to only Bitcoin bull runs that we can use to utilize to know where we are in the cycle, and to adjust our portfolios accordingly. So with that said, um, I anticipate, I'm still anticipating some kind of trace back within this month, um, but probably next month. So the month of December, a retracement on the RSI back to the 20-week moving average, and kind of see how Bitcoin holds against the moving average. As of right now, the trend continues to be up, and it has no sign of slowing down. But we can always anticipate that Bitcoin will, at some point, decide to cool off. We just don't know yet. It could be now. It could be, we're only 12% away from the all-time high. Um, so keep that in mind. But we can very well, have like one last push, and then start to retrace down. Take into account that the 20 weekly moving average is now at 11,889. Um, and the higher we go at this quick amount of time, the exponentially faster the weekly moving average is gonna keep up with it. And one of the hard things to note, is if it, uh, not to put a damper on anyone's spirit, but if we look at the 2019 bull run here, we now know in hindsight that it went up too quickly, too fast, too high above the 20 weekly moving average to be sustainable. And that might be one of the reasons why we crashed down. The angle between this and the angle between this, you could see a notable difference in between the uh in the angle degree, between the two. The 2019 was far much more of a steeper incline on the 20 weekly moving average than we are right now. However, if we continue this bullish rally, for weeks on weeks on weeks, then eventually it's gonna start looking like this, and that's when I get even more concerned, because that's when risk gets exponentially higher. Because if you look at like this here, this part of the rally, it was a lot much. It was a much more, like flatter incline compared to this, right? This is when it becomes exuberant and unsustainable. Currently, where we are is much like right we are here. But if we continue to increase like what we're doing now, the moving average will, you know catch up, start moving at a steeper and steeper incline to the point where it becomes unsustainable, and it becomes very hard for me to believe that we have any room left in like any gas left in the tank. So that's really what it is. It's quite exciting to see Bitcoin do this. We will see in the coming days and weeks on what Bitcoin wants to do next. And for me, it's hard for me to try to, say anything, in terms of altcoins. Yesterday, I made a video about the Bitcoin dominance. We have closed on the weekly above this downwards trend line. I said you could make another trend line that aligns a little bit better, but I tend not to like to do that. But I left it on here just for reference. And if Bitcoin continues its bullish rally, it doesn't matter where you draw the trend line. It's gonna keep on going up. And with that respect, it's gonna affect it's gonna affect Ethereum. When I did have this downward, like this falling wedge pattern here, if it continues on like this, it's gonna break right through it. Same thing with Chainlink. I have like a similar drawing with Chainlink. It will break through. It will break through. Um, and Uniswap was having a great time, but again, if Bitcoin decides to turn on the, the bullish price action to 11, Uniswap doesn't have any chance to keep up, at least against Bitcoin. You're going to see maybe like what you see here with Ethereum. You see it's up 1.6% against US dollars, but that's really, Bitcoin dragging Ethereum up with it, in terms of US dollar valuation. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you liked the video, hit the like button down below. If you really liked it, hit subscribe. I'll see you later. Take care.